Gear up for an epic finale. Join us on Rolling to Win True Athletes as we meet Mackenzie Dickman, Paralympic sit ski hopeful and adaptive sports instructor. Don't miss the inspiring stories and thrilling adventures in the world of adaptive sport. Tune in for the finale that will keep you on the edge of your seat. Here we are. How are you, Kenzie?
I'm good. How are you?
Oh, I'm well. I'm down here in southwestern Virginia. I'm guessing that you're back home now. You made it back home to Snowshoe?
Yeah. Yes, I've been home for about 4 days now. So.
Right on. Now, did you take off on like a van expedition?
So as I'm training, I do live in a 1998 Econoline van, while I train out in Colorado.
Nice. So, like, I guess driving that out and everything, how was that?
So luckily my husband working at Snowshoe, we have a shorter season than Colorado's. So he drives out there with me at the end of October. He can stay with me for about 2 weeks or so. At least that's how it was this year. Get me kind of settled in, and then comes out at the end of the season, gets to ride a couple extra more days, and then we drive it back together. That way I don't have the hard winds of Kansas and Colorado with one hand.
Okay. Gotcha. Yeah, no doubt. Yeah. I had never been out through there, the flat country that is. So I think pretty much the east of the Mississippi I've driven, but once you get west of the Mississippi, aside from Dallas, I went to Dallas. I've flown out west, and that's about it.
Yeah, when you get past like St. Louis, the winds start to happen, and they're pretty aggressive.
Gotcha.
I'm glad that I don't have to drive a big rig by myself.
Right. Yeah, no doubt. So you had a pretty long ski season this season. Like, how you want to tell me about that? Like, how long was that?
Yeah, so ski season for me started November 3rd this year.
Mm-hmm.
And it ended like April 13th, 14th, 15th, somewhere around there. So yeah, it was about 6 months long. And I split my time between Winter Park, Colorado and Snowshoe, West Virginia this year.
Okay.
I am training as an adaptive alpine sit ski racer with the National Sports Center for the Disabled at Winter Park, Colorado. I did part-time. So I did beginning of the season, did some training, came back home, worked full-time job, still skied as many days as I could. Also, I'm an adaptive monoski instructor at our adaptive program, Challenge Athletes of West Virginia. So taught there when I could. And then mid-March, I went back out to Colorado and finished training for the season. And then throughout the season, I flew out to some races.
Nice. So what is your specialty? I don't know much about it. What's your specialty with skiing?
Yeah. So right now I am racing in almost all the disciplines. I do race slalom, which is very tight turns. Giant slalom, which is your typical what most people think of when they think of ski racing, your flags and you just make S turns. And then I also do Super G, which is an even bigger giant slalom. So you've got more speed and space in between the flags. And then there is downhill. So you've got some turns, a lot of speed, some steep pitches. If you ask my coach, he will 100% say that I'm a speed girl. I will not deny it either, but I thoroughly enjoy learning all of it.
Nice. I've been following you for a while, for sure. So you get into all kind of stuff, don't you? But what's some other stuff that you're into?
Skiing wise or sport wise?
Sport wise.
Okay. So I also like riding park while skiing. But I've had to kind of put that on the back burner. And then I am an active wakeboarder as well.
Right.
that comes from my husband's family's background. They're the ones that got me into wakeboarding. And my brother-in-law is a manager of a wakeboarding cable park in Rock Hill, South Carolina. It's called Southtown Wake. Yeah. So I sit wake. I use the frame made by Tessier. It's called the Swake. Love it. And then I'm also an adaptive mountain biker living here at Snoop. We have one of the greatest places to mountain bike, being a World Cup UCI host. And well, I might as well learn how. And I got my level 1 adaptive BICP, adaptive coaching instructor license. So I know how to teach all different types of adaptive biking. And I got my very own bowhead reach. That is a very fun. And then another sport that I do that I don't see a lot of people doing in a wheelchair is I had a friend weld a frame together and we put it on an electric longboard. And I put an old monkey seat on it and I electric longboard.
Gotcha. That's far out. Okay. All right. So yeah, you're all over the place. You're a busy girl.
I do it. Yeah.
So I noticed that on your Facebook profile, you hadn't always been a wheelchair user. So how do you find yourself in a wheelchair nowadays?
Yeah, so I was in a car accident in 2017 while working for my local health department. I lost consciousness behind the wheel. I ended up in a ditch, hit a concrete culvert, shot my car up in the air, and it wrapped around a telephone pole and it landed on top of me. Somehow, some way, I was not completely injured at the time of my accident. I walked out of the hospital under my own power less than 23 hours after the accident happened. They sent me to observation. It was a 3-hour vacation. It was pretty and I took a week off work, and then the following week I did 2 half days, and then I went back to work full time.
Wow.
And yeah, it was pretty remarkable. Luckily, I was 23, and I will thank youth to healing.
Right. Yeah.
But my downfall all really kind of started about a year and a half later in May of 2019. So I had always had numbness in my pelvis from where the dash collapsed on me. And it never went away. Everyone was like, "You're in a bad accident. It's going to take a long time for nerves to heal." I was like, okay, I understand. And in May of 2019, it got to the point where it was down to my toes. I went wake surfing behind our wakeboard boat, and I had no idea where my feet were.
Oh gosh. Okay. Yeah, that's bad. That's bad news though.
Yeah, I kept dunking the nose. I didn't know where my feet were. I had to like physically look down to move them. And I was like, it's not right. So I went to my orthopedic and we scheduled an MRI. And that came back with what's called a syrinx from my T5 to T12. Then we ordered head, neck, thoracic with contrast, lumbar, and come to find out I had extra axial fluid in my right frontal lobe. So there was probably a little bit of a missed brain bleed from my car accident that no one knew about. And it pushed cerebral spinal fluid into my spinal cord. And that took about a year and a half for the cyst in my spinal cord to get large enough to affect my nerves. And by October of 19, my body just said no more walking. It was immense pain. And I finally was just like, I think I need a mobility aid. And that's when I became a wheelchair user.
Right, no doubt. So have you had any kind of surgery to kind of take any of the compression off of that or any of that stuff? Or?
No, so where my cyst is a very risky area for surgery.
Okay.
A lot of neurosurgeons don't do surgery on a syrinx just because oftentimes the shunt will get clogged and every
Okay.
time they'll have to go and clear it out.
Wow. Okay.
And I'm 25 and my neurosurgeon was like, I'm not going to do a bad back surgery on you at 25. And I'm very
Okay.
thankful for that.
Sure. Sure.
And he just said, you know what? It seems to be pretty stable from the 2 years we've done MRIs. It hasn't grown. He's like, go live your life while you can. He's like, yes, you're running the risk of it getting bigger. He's like, but just go live. And I was like, okay. And
Right.
that's when I started searching adaptive stuff.
Wow. So just right then and there, you're like, all right, let's try this whole thing sitting down now.
Yeah, I mean, we had our pity party that day, but I had been so sick for so long of not knowing what we were going to do
Right.
internally, like if we were surgery, if it was going to bring anything back with leg function. I was on 1,800 milligrams of gabapentin a day.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah, like my energy was so bad. We had to just move on and say, okay, what can we do now? Because I was being told, no, you can't do. No, you can't do. No, you
Right.
can't do.
Wow.
And I was just like, well, I lost my job. I've lost the function of my legs. I feel like a zombie in my head with the brain fog. I was like, all right, what can I start doing? And yeah, I mean, I'd always been a sports person. And so we were like, well, something fun.
Right. So what's the first thing that you picked up?
It was adaptive wakeboarding. It just
Okay.
happened to be in the season of wakeboarding was when I decided, and we were told no surgery. And so we had started funding for the sit wake, but I had also called up our adaptive director here at Snowshoe and said, hey, I'm going to be skiing with you this winter. And she's like,
Oh, nice.
okay.
Uh-huh.
And that was
Didn't
the
know
only
you or
conversation.
anything, or already knew you or whatever.
She did not know me, but I had
Okay.
known about the program.
Okay,
So
gotcha.
I knew it was already going to be a possibility. And I was like, I'm going to be skiing this winter.
Oh, that's cool. That's
So
really cool. See, we
yeah.
got a
And then
guy
I had
close by, Scott Mills. I think you know Scott, right? He's in Rocky
yeah,
Mount up here, and he does the Wake the World event. Now, did you meet up with him through that? How did that?
yeah. So I met Scott when I was learning how to mono ski.
Okay.
He actually helped me a lot in the beginning of trying to get me to do the right positions and form. And he would come up often and say, hey, let's go ski together.
Oh wow!
So
That like come up there to the West Virginia and go hit a
yeah,
lake up there.
he's one
No
of our
doubt.
he's one of our regular independent sit skiers that comes up to Snowshoe.
Okay, nice, nice. I knew that he'd done some skiing and stuff. Like I keep telling him that we're going to stay in good contact, but then I always see him about once a year,
Right.
which seems to be how it goes, I guess.
Life
Nice.
gets
So,
busy.
oh yeah, for sure, for sure. Like life gets busy, and you look around, the years happen. That's just kind of the way it is, no doubt. So, um, how did you get involved with or what inspired you to start teaching others? The adaptive ski and adaptive biking and all this stuff.
Honestly, it was when you roll into or however your movement is and you come in to challenge athletes of West Virginia, it's a straight family there. I was given two of the best instructors that we have, Nathan and John, and they did everything that they could to help me become independent because I came in there day one and I said, I want to be an independent skier at some point in my life, like hardcore independent. And they invested everything they had into giving me that opportunity. And then when I was there learning, all the people that were coming in saying, look at you go, you're learning so well. And then I got to see some other generations come in. Like we've got a 13-year-old who has been with us since I think like the age of 3 skiing in a sit ski. And I would go out skiing with him. And my husband is also a volunteer. And so he can tether a bi-ski, a mono-ski, whatever. And he would talk to the kiddo, and he's like, why does Kinsey always win? He's like, well, because she's on one ski, and she's got a little bit more control than we do on 2 skis. Like, that's just, a bi-ski is a little bit slower than a mono-ski. He goes, well, I want to be like her. And he is now mono-skiing, and I get to help teach him. And so just knowing that I can pass down the knowledge that was given to me to the next set of skiers, but it gets to come from someone that feels the same things. Because that was probably one of my things is I was taught by able-bodied.
Sure.
And so I'm like, I don't understand this aspect or movement. They don't fully understand how I'm feeling.
Right.
So just that I could be a person that says, I know exactly what it's like to sit in a sit ski and not feel the lower half of your body work.
Sure. No doubt.
What I was like, I can give back fully.
That's awesome.
So that is
awesome.
Got me into like, I really want to help the next set of athletes.
And then somehow this turned into Olympic aspirations.
Yeah. So then it was like my second year of sit skiing, and our executive director, Carol Woody, had told me about a thing called Ski Spectacular. And it's one of the largest adaptive events for winter sports in the United States. Have you heard of it at all?
I haven't, because I'm not really a winter sports person. So, yeah.
So it is teaching all different types of adaptive athletes how to ski or snowboard. And they have like a beginning program where they're teaching you, and then they have a race program where they just teach you the fundamentals of racing. So Carol was like, hey, I think we're really low on scholarship applicants. You know how to sit ski now. Why don't you apply? And I was like, okay, it's a free trip to out west. I was like, yeah, I'll go on scholarship. And so I was awarded the scholarship. I went. My first one was December of 2022. I had a blown shock. I had a beginner rig. I only had a GS ski when we trained GS and slalom. And I had no idea about racing. But when I rolled in there, I had this guy come up to me, and he pulled me aside, and he handed me a speed suit, and he said, you're the contender. I was like, I'm the what? He's like, you're the contender. He's like, I've been watching you online. He's like, I think you have potential to be a Paralympic athlete. And I was like, I know nothing about racing, but okay. And so he gave me a speed suit that was Elena Nichols. I've
heard that name. So
she is an incredible athlete. Wheelchair basketball, skiing, I think speed canoe racing, working on surfing, and has already started to compete in the surfing world. Hopefully in LA 28, she'll be there.
Nice.
Yeah, she's incredible. But so I start wearing this speed suit. I'm going out, learning basic stuff. Another Paralympic athlete who is coaching us comes up. He's like, you do know your shock's blown, right? I'm like, I don't know anything about shock. I'm like, I'm
just out here doing it. Yeah.
But I had blown my shock because I was taking jumps in terrain park so hard. I had pushed all the oil out of my shock.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Tightening the coil spring.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, you're making great turns for a pretty much rigid frame. And I was like,
yeah.
okay. But yeah, at the end of that week, they were like, get yourself a new rig that's for racing and start thinking about training somewhere.
Oh, wow.
Like,
Okay.
all right. And so then in April, I went out to Winter Park and met my now current coach, Eric Peterson, and pretty much did like a tryout for NSCD, National Sports Center for the Disabled. And they said, come back in November of 23 and we'll start your racing career.
That is awesome. That is awesome. So that hence November all the way out to just recently, past couple weeks. That's amazing.
So it was just kind of I did not know that I had progressed that fast.
Right.
Nor did I even think I would be there, but every coach is like, you're super coachable, your personality is great, you love skiing, and they're like, you're just all around someone that can be a role model for women adaptive athletes. And they're like,
yeah, for sure. For sure.
And I was like,
yeah, I agree 100%.
like,
so what are your big plans for the summer?
For the summer, it's going to be pretty much cross train. Luckily, my head and the angulation is a very similar motion to dropping your hip and skiing in the course. So using that as cross training, and then really focusing on a lot of muscle building in my upper body. As my coach told me, this past season was an act year. Next season will be a react year. So it was starting point this year, see where we're at, give it your best effort to make corrections, but just act on everything this year. Next year, we'll really get in and react from last year and start moving forward. So
That's
really,
awesome.
it's just keep a healthy mindset, prepare to go to Chile in September and October in South America. And then
is that like a Pan American game or something like that? What is that?
No, it'll just be we go down there to get some early season training in because it'll be spring skiing in South America.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Right. Yeah, because they're opposite there. Yeah.
Years are switched seasons.
Wow.
And then come back and then late October go back out and I'm actually training full time.
Nice. That's far out. Nice.
Yeah. So really, summer we'll wakeboard, we'll bike, we'll train, and like I said, just keep a really good headspace. Right.
So what are you going to do are you going to hit the gym to put on muscle? Is that your game plan there? Are you going to CrossFit it? What are you doing there?
Yeah. So luckily, I have a very good relationship with my physical therapist, and his wife is a nutritionist. So I'm actually meeting tomorrow, and I'm going to be working on ways to strengthen the areas that I've noticed have lacked on performance in my turns, specifically like lower back. How can I try to get that to activate? Being a T12, I should start some. And then with his wife as a nutritionist to say, what kind of foods do I need to be eating? What's my protein ratio I need to get if I want to gain some muscle? Because I'm not very big. I'm like maybe 100 pounds.
Oh gosh. So, how tall are you?
Like 5 foot.
Oh, okay. Because like I guess in pictures people look really tall, somehow, whatever. So 5 foot, 100 pounds, soaking wet.
More muscle mass to go down the mountain faster. That'd be nice.
Yeah. I got you. Yeah, I can dig it. Yeah, I'm all about putting on muscle mass. Haha. Yeah, that's kind of what I got into was the bodybuilding. Yeah, I got into that. But also like getting on the water and stuff. So this year I plan on, the Wake the World thing is in June, so we'll go up there and then if I can hang out with Scott like a little more than that, then that'd be great too. Get out on the water a little bit. But I'm always busy doing stuff here at the house and all that. It's kind of one of those deals. But so let's see here. So what are your goals ultimately for getting to the Olympics? Like obviously you want to win, but what year are you trying to make it?
Right now my goal is to go to Italy in 2026.
Okay.
I've been told that I have the opportunity to, but I don't have high goals for 26 of medaling or anything like that. I've got to work on some race mental stuff. Like I didn't the first race of every series this past season. I wiped out and I crashed the first race every time we went somewhere to race.
Okay.
So I'm like, okay, I got to work on some mental things there. But if I could just go to Italy, be a representative of Team USA, and get an experience under my belt and hit my runs, complete them, not have bobbles. I mean, I know I'm still going to have a few, but major mistakes. And that's really what I want to do on my first set of games. My major goals is to be a 2-cycle game athlete. So go to 26 and then also try to go to 2030. And 2030 is really kind of where I want to shine, just because I'll have hopefully 26 under my belt for experience, and then I'll have 4 years of training. Just because I started ski racing not knowing anything, and I still have so much to learn, but I do think 2030 is a year that I could actually shine as an adaptive alpine skier.
Nice. Awesome. So 2030, get the gold, bring it back.
That would be something that would be
yeah, for sure. I see you can totally do it. You can totally do it, right? I mean, it's skiing, so
get a few World Cups under my belt too.
Okay, yeah, I forget that there's World Cups out there, because there's other athletes that do. There's other Paralympic sports. I mean, like swimming and powerlifting and all kinds of stuff. But those are the summer sports.
Will allow you to go to those venues where the more intense hills are. Like right now, I've only been domestic in North America between USA and Canada, so I haven't seen Europe yet. I've been told Europe is very icy and slick, yet very steep. So I'm like, okay, I have to combine the West Coast steeps with the East Coast ice that I know, but can I put it together? So I just need a lot of experience under my belt before I can confidently say I can go in and kick some butt. I'd like to, but
nice.
I really would like to learn everything I need to about skiing and then be able to put all the pieces together.
Gotcha. So it sounds like that's going to be your main focus for the next long while then, right?
Yeah, for sure. My husband's not too thrilled about it, especially the fact that I'll be gone at least full time for the next 2 winter seasons.
Gotcha.
But he is very supportive of me. Literally, like in October, before I went out, I had a night where I was just like crying. I was like, I don't know if I'm mentally capable of doing this. Am I physically capable? I'm like, can I even live in a van on my own? And he literally sat down at the bed and he's like, you've been given an opportunity that not many people in the world are even given an opportunity to do. He's like, go chase your dream. He's like, be that girl. And I was like, I'm going to do it.
That's amazing.
He's like,
that's amazing. Forever.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you were living in your van, man. Like, how is day-to-day life living in the van? And the reason that I'm so interested in this is because I want to take this series like from just being like talking heads to actually going and training with somebody, like wherever it may be. Like, hell, I'll come up there to snowshoe and go down a mountain on one of those bicycles there, or quadcycles, whatever the hell they are. I don't even know what they're called, but try that, and then try the weight thing and all this. But to get like a van like you have, and then just kind of try that for 6 weeks at a time or something. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So what?
So ironically, We drove it from West Virginia down to South Carolina. We did a week of wakeboarding, and then we went from there to Colorado. So it was a 25-hour drive from South Carolina to Colorado. We got to Winter Park. We did one night in their overnight camping lot, and then we knew that A Basin was open with a blue. So we were like, oh, we're going to go there because they have a blue open. We were 2 miles from the Loveland Pass, and my engine blew up.
Oh, dang.
So my first month out there in November, my van was actually in a shop getting a new engine and a bunch of other things fixed on it. But now she's like brand new. But so my first 4 weeks training, I was in a 2nd-story apartment with metal stairs.
Oh, wow.
So I had to lug my wheelchair up metal stairs, and they were spiky metal stairs for like snow traction. So I was doing skin checks. So that was interesting. And then I got my van back 3 days before I had to leave to go to Ski Spectacular. And I drove her through like probably an 11-inch snowstorm. She did great.
Oh, gosh. Nice.
So my van's Ladybug. So when I say she, it's Ladybug.
Ladybug.
She's like a maroon van. Yeah, she's like a maroon reddish van, and all the windows are dark black, so they look like spots.
Cool.
The previous owner, so I was like, I'll keep the name.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah, so I drove through like an 11-inch snowstorm, rear wheel drive, no problems. And then the first time I really did dinner was at Winter Park Open in January for my first race series. It wasn't bad. The coldest it was the morning when I woke up one day, it was 21 degrees. But I just turned the Mr. Buddy heater on, and it warms right up. But the main thing I learned, so I got to live in the van for about a month from March to April. I learned probably the most. So I learned, don't leave your generator in the ready and on position. You'll kill the battery. So I have a remote start generator, so I can just hit the remote and it'll start. It's an amazing feature. But one day, like, I had it plugged in and the switch on for the outlets. Well, that switch has a light on it, so the battery kept the light on. And the battery died. So I was like trying to start it. I called my husband. I'm like, the generator won't turn on. He's like, how long have you kept it ready to go? I'm like 4 days. He's like, kill the battery. He's like, you have to pull start it. I'm like, you want me what?
So it's an Onan that you can pull start, like an Onan generator or something? Gotcha.
Yeah, so I have a carrier on the back of my van that has a box with a propane tank and the generator. So I'm like sitting on the propane tank, so I'm tall enough I can pull start it. Yeah, it took me 3 pulls, but I had to use 2 hands, so I was long enough with my arms spanned.
Got it.
Yeah, things that I didn't think I'd have to do. So that's one thing, like, make sure you know how to work a generator, because I had to figure it out all on my own.
In the cold.
Yeah, I mean, luckily it was springtime, warmer, but still, I was like, oh, this is not what I want to be doing. And then, really, the van life is not that hard. So my induction cooktop, I run when the generator's on. My inverter's not strong yet. So that really was super easy. I just made sure that I got a van that fit my wheelchair. And then the big tip that I will say that worked for me is I got a planting tray, like a big one, and I set my wheelchair in it because Winter Park in the springtime is very gravelly and muddy and wet. And I didn't want to ruin floors. And then we would get an occasional snowstorm. So when the snow packs into your hand rims, your front casters, it has a place for the water to drip. And all the gravel and then I would just put the wheelchair out, pull the tray out, dump the tray, the snow, water, dirt, sand, and then put it back in.
Nice.
Van life was actually surprisingly easier than I thought. Like, I slept in base layers.
I was just saying it looks like it'd be crazy, you know. Just crazy trying to sleep in a van. And so you were cooking, like, you know, everybody, this is probably the big question. What about the potty? This has been like, because that's been my number one fear since I got injured, was the potty. Is somebody going to be in the handicap stall? Can I get to the bathroom in this place, etc.? So what's the potty like in a van?
Yeah, so we have a little portable one.
Okay.
I don't have a problem with it. I only use it for pee.
Okay.
So that way, like, I don't have to deal with anything else. I make sure that I'm inside I guess where we would train, the upstairs part where there's a bathroom, when I would have to do bow stuff. That way it was just easy. But yeah, I would only use it for going pee, and it would fill up like once every 2 weeks for me. I really didn't spend a lot of time in the van. It was dinner time, which was around 6 o'clock to 6:30 in the morning. So maybe only 12 hours. And 8 of that was sleeping.
Sure. Gotcha.
So had an accessible bathroom for me where there was no problems.
So did all your showering like outside the van too? You know, like not a van with a shower?
So we have a rec center that we work out at, and it has an accessible shower. So I would just work out, go hot tub, shower. That way it was all done. So yeah, I really didn't have a problem with that. I would keep bathing wipes in the van. That way, if I felt like I need to, I could clean myself off. But yeah, like I did get one UTI in November, and I did have a fever, but luckily I was not in the van when I got that. So it was not from van life. Right.
Yeah, I guess that'd be something else to have to watch out for on the road. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah,
it seems pretty tough. I did the
toughest. Go ahead.
I said I did a primitive camping trip, right, to kind of like get my feet back on the ground, so to speak. To kind of, all right, can I do this? Like if I'm going traveling, like how rough can I be in traveling? Because used to I could sleep in the car, with no problem, whatever. So I did this like rough camping trip down to North Carolina, and then I did I camped in the tent, but I didn't cut a light on because it's a campground and you can see in a tent if you cut the lights on and stuff. I just didn't want anything weird, And I ended up getting like the worst UTI ever, and ended up in the hospital and all kinds of stuff after the camping trip. And I was like, well, I guess this is as bad as it gets, so I guess I could definitely go from here.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely things to worry about, but I always kept a huge bottle of hand sanitizer accessible. I always kept 2 large jugs of water, and I had a sink. We winterized the actual. So like if I needed to rinse my hands or do something, I could. And then I have 1, 2, 3 cabinets. So that's pretty decent sized countertop space if I need anywhere to work. And then I always just kept Clorox wipes and just wiped everything down, kept it clean.
Right on.
I think the worst part was making sure my dreads didn't catch on fire with the Mr. Buddy heater.
I bet. That's funny.
Like doing a transfer, reaching over, they would
Yeah, you got some long hair there. Like how long are you?
They go past my butt. I often catch them in my break.
Gotcha. The quick head pull.
Yeah, I'll put my hand on it when transfer and
Oh, that's funny. Yeah. Well, not funny for you when it happens, but still funny.
no, it's quite
Nice. So,
comical. A lot of people ask in ski racing, they're like, doesn't it wrap around a pole? I'm like, no, they
right.
usually just stay pretty close to my body.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, it's back home at Snowshoe, you're reassuming your role in the adaptive department. So, if somebody's coming up there, what do they need to do?
Yeah, so if you're wanting to get interested in any kind of sport that we're doing, Carol Woody is our executive director at Challenged Athletes of West Virginia. And the best way to get a lesson is going to be by calling our main number. And she will perform a little background screening, write that down on a paperwork to get your profile started, and then she'll be the one that will get a lesson on the ground running. I do know that we have training on Memorial Day weekend for our staff. So I'm not sure that we'll be offering lessons our opening weekend. We give all sorts of different types of adaptive mountain biking lessons. From SimGos, which are instructor driven. So the instructor is on the back of the bike, and then the athlete sits in a bucket seat, and they don't have to do any kind of mountain bike driving per se of the piece of equipment. It's kind of like the body of an adaptive mountain bike. And then we've got a couple other different types of mountain bikes, and then we've got some like recumbent road bikes or gravel bikes. And then, we've got a bunch of other things that can be seen around the mountain as well.
Nice. Okay. So call ahead to make sure that there's availability and all that. Okay. Good deal. Good deal. So, and then to the person that finds himself having to use a wheelchair for the first time and waking up in that dreaded state, because it is kind of that dread state, right? Like, oh man, this is life now. What would you tell them that's just now getting started?
I would say give yourself grace. Not every day is going to be amazing. Even as I'm going into my 5th year in a wheelchair, I still have days where I cuss out life and I hate it.
Right.
And then I have days where I'm like, this life has given me so many opportunities that I never would have been given. And just know that you may have had one vision for your life, but you are in control of your vision of your life, and you can make it something else.
Right on. Plug away and make the life that you want.
Yeah, I mean, you are in 100% control of the present situation that you're in. So you can control your own emotions. You can control how you perceive things. And it takes a lot of time. I did 8 months of cognitive behavioral therapy 2 times a week because I was in such a bad state that nothing just looked good anymore to me. So I had to kind of train my brain to relook at the big picture and say, this might not be great, but how is this?
Right.
And relearning the thought process that way completely changed my life. So I always say give yourself grace, because every day is going to be completely different. Just like it was before you have acquired an injury. No day is ever really the same. You just get it a little bit more on the extreme side.
That's it. I've met so many athletes now, and everybody seems to have a very similar stoic view like that. Is, life is what you make of it. And to be honest, I'm not sure that there's too many people that are, aware that life is what you make it, because life happens to them instead of the opposite, which is, you know, life is what you make it kind of thing. So
Right.
nice. All right. Well, that's about all I have to ask about right now. So I'm sure I'll come up with a million questions later on. So
Absolutely.
yeah. So it was great talking with you, Kenzie.
Yeah.
If you'll hold on past this, you know, like we'll say like a formal goodbye. I'll edit like a little bit on this end, but you know, should I get your, like, if I wanted to get in touch with you personally, like up at Snowshoe, say maybe sometime later this summer toward the fall, you know, is it okay if I get your number? That way I can just call you and say, hey, I'm coming up there, whatever. So
Yeah, absolutely. And if
sure,
you
right
need a
on.
place to stay, we always have an extra room.
Oh, right
And
on.
challenge that. Not they usually are able to get discounts on rooms or have a couple
Mhm.
condos available as well.
Okay. Nice. Yeah. So just wait, as far as staying, I don't think you're so far away that I couldn't just go up there for a day or something like that.
Right.
Thanks. Maybe Snowshoe might be 2.5 hours, I think.
Oh, that ain't bad at all.
Yeah. I don't know. How long does it take Scott to get there?
He's about 3.
Oh, okay. Yeah, then I'm just probably 3 hours and 3 hours. But yeah, then I probably should need to stay up there. All right. Anyway, that's for a different time. So sorry. Well,
Oh,
Kenzie, I
no
appreciate
problem.
you having me today. You have shared a lot of good information, and I hope people will definitely key in on it and get out there and do something.
Absolutely. I mean, the world has a lot to offer. Also, as a wheelchair user, never stop trying new things. You never know
Right.
what you're going to fall in love with or fall in love with something completely new.
No doubt. No doubt. Right on. Love it. Hey, thanks, Kenzie. I appreciate you.
Yeah, no problem at
All
all.
right.
Thank you.
All right. Right on. Bye now.